Women's boxing, illegal until 1996, but has since become a powerful force across the UK. The GB boxing programme has hit huge milestones, from the success of Nicola Adams, the first female boxer to win gold, to Lauren Price, the current Commonwealth, European, World and now Olympic champion. But breaking into the male-dominated sport wasn't without its challenges.
So for me, I was kind of just went to a boxing gym. They seen I had a bit of talent, and then got sent to the Welsh team. But like I said, when I went in there, it was just full of boys, but it's something I've always been used to because I've always been around. I started playing football from the age of 8, and I was the only girl in the team. So yeah, it's something that never really fazed me in that way really.
Lauren often sparred against men due to the limited women in the sport. But despite the odds against her, she believes this shaped her career.
I think there have been talks before of would girls prefer to just be training just all females, but I think it's obviously brought me on and made me stronger training alongside the lads, so I see that in a disadvantage, but I suppose there's different opinions.
Lauren isn't the only one to put women's boxing on the map. Her sparring and current partner Caris also has, and has an unusual story behind success.
So I was about 15, I think, and I got introduced because I was basically a bit of a little rascal when I was little. I got kicked out of all my schools, 4 schools I got kicked out of, so I went down to a non-mainstream school, and every Friday they went down to the local boxing gym. So I went down on the Friday. The coaches said they could see potential in me, so they said come down 3 times a week. I enjoyed it, so I just stuck with it. Because I was always just messing around on the streets and just getting in with the wrong type of crowd. So getting myself into the boxing gym, it just gave me something to focus on, like you say, and kept me busy, give me a time to be somewhere, usually in the evening. So it just kept me in with the right sort of people, and the coach was kind of like a father figure. So he was always supportive and what's the word, encouraging me to just do well, I suppose. And like I said, he could see potential, so he was always pushing me on to do that little bit extra.
And that extra support helped Caris's career massively. Following her training, Caris got a place in the army, working as an army gunner alongside her boxing career. But Caris believes she couldn't have done it without her partner by her side.
It's you've got your best friend, your partner. It's like having a home comfort everywhere you go. If you're away in a different country, or even just in the gym and the sessions are hard, I'll push her, she'll push me. If I struggle in S&C, for example, and she's good at it, she pushes me on in that department, and vice versa for runs. So it's just having a home comfort everywhere you go, basically. Yeah, it's amazing.
Following their amateur careers, the couple have now signed a professional contract with Sky and Boxer. And since their publicity has skyrocketed, so has the abuse they face online.
I think online you do get some little remarks sort of thing, but they're all off unknown profiles, so you don't really know what it is. And obviously myself and Lauren are partners, we're together, so we signed with Sky Boxing the other week, and we got something about we've heard it all now, lesbian boxers or something like that, and we just laughed at it sort of thing. But you do get some little digs on social media, but I've never experienced anything in person.
But the couple haven't let the abuse affect their future. Boxers promoter John has welcomed the couple to join the professional ranks and believes their success will only grow.
Unquestionably, there's an appetite, and it is definitely growing. I've been in boxing for 30 odd years, and I've seen a really large growth in the appetite for women's boxing in the last few years, and it's definitely growing. And I think in a GB sense, we're probably leading the world in women's boxing, and we should be proud of that.
Since female boxing was legalised in 1996, it's taken over 10 years for women to be able to compete in the Olympic Games. Robert McCracken, famously known for training super heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, Nottinghamshire's Carl Froch, and the GB boxing team, understands firsthand just how important the future of women's boxing is.
I think there's a big growth. I think the strength in depth in the women's weights is bigger. I think, going back in my time to 2012, you'd go to an Olympic Games or World Championships, there'd probably be 8 to 10 good females. Now there's probably at least 20, 24 good females at each weight, and then you know, really decent ones underneath that number. But yeah, some fantastic females show up. Nikki Adams was part of that group, Savannah Marshall. So yeah, we've been lucky enough to work with some tremendous female athletes, and obviously Lauren Price has came on since then, as well as other females who've done tremendously well at GB boxing.
Women's boxing has seen barriers broken and history made, but despite the bar set by these women, 30 years ago the face of boxing was completely different. The British Boxing Board of Control originally decided women were too emotionally unstable to box and refused Jane Couch, one of the first female boxers, her right to a career. But even now, despite success, breaking into the industry isn't always easy. Rosie Eccles, originally from Wales, started boxing at 16 and struggled to even join her local team.
I joined my local boxing gym in Chepstow. Was the first girl to ever box out of there or train out of there. Obviously, like now with open arms, but the coach, he was proper old school, and I was ringing up and can I come down training? Because I don't train girls.
But Rosie didn't let this prevent her future. The welterweight, European and Commonwealth silver medalist is set to achieve even more in the 2024 Olympic Games.
So next, I've got quite a big year. So in 4 weeks' time, I've got the World Championships in Turkey. So I've got 2 medals I've not got yet, and one of them is the world medal, so that's one medal I haven't got, hopefully a gold one. And then the Commonwealth Games is about 9 weeks afterwards, so that's in Birmingham. And then we might have a European Championships later in the year, so it's 3 majors in 1 year, which is just mental. And then what's crazy is the Olympic chances to qualify will start the following year for the Olympics. So that's obviously the really big one. But so yeah, it's going to be a busy couple of years, but yeah, definitely a busy next 8 weeks for sure.
Following the announcement that women's boxing would enter the 2012 Olympics, over a quarter more females have got into the sport. And Robert McCracken feels it's only going to get bigger.
I think women's boxing will grow, and I think that the world's changing. I think there's more opportunities for females now in every sport that's possible or has been operating for a number of years. You know, boxing's the prime example of you know, the Olympic Games before London. The females weren't involved, and certainly the Olympic Games in London they were, and then they obviously were in Rio, and the strength in depth's getting bigger. There's more elite females now boxing, and that will only spread wide and large throughout the world. So there'll be huge numbers of exceptionally good female boxers coming through over the next few years.
But with strength in publicity and exposure of women's boxing, Rosie worries how this will affect the sport.
I think it's hard because I don't want to judge anyone, but like I think like sort of some of the pro girls now aren't actually good for our sport. They're not actually the best boxers, and then they're sexualising it and the way they're getting on the scales, and that's how they're making their money rather than through talent. And I think, all right, we've all got to make our money, that, you know, if you're doing it some ways, but for me it like discredits our sport quite a lot, and actually the ones that are talented, people think, and then it's going to draw the wrong kind of audience and the wrong kind of things, and it upsets me because I think we've come so far, then to go backwards and to women to be doing it themselves. I think it's because it's the boxers that aren't actually that talented, and that annoys me, like seeing that, because I think it's just the wrong idea, but you know, each their own, isn't it, really?
But despite the growth of the GB women's careers, their families still struggle to watch their loved ones in the ring.
Yeah, my granddad, they've always supported me. My nan's a big believer in if I had a dream to go and follow it. And she was kind of the person who would come along and watch and just sit in the crowd and have her head in her hands at the time, so she wouldn't watch it, she'd just be there. But yeah, she didn't really like the fact that I was, you know, getting it in the face, but she supported me because she knew that was my dream to go to the Olympics. And it was quite funny actually, when the Olympics were on, she'd wait to get the result first and then watch it back.
GB boxing has seen illustrious success, from boxing star Nicola Adams to the current Olympians, but the GB boxers feel there's still a long way to go in the sport.
I don't think the problem is at the top now. I think more people are going to come through and prove more people wrong if people just start. You know, I think we tell kids so early that, like, oh no, you won't be able to do that as good, or I think it's that side of things now that will just make a big difference.
Definitely more so now, as it's growing, 100%. Like the only difference is the females fight for 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes. Whether that will change or not, I'm not too sure.
You see more females on shows, and I think like it's especially like the last 18 months, 2 years, the women professional boxing have come on leaps and bounds.